Yes, people, we are live. England match review. World Cup opener against Iran. England 6, Iran 2. Did I see that coming? No. But before we get to it, people, let's smash the intro. And there you have it, people. Back for this match review. England's opening fixture in the World Cup against Iran. A cricket score, some people might call it. Definitely not what I was predicting. But people, before we get into this, smash the like button, should I say, sorry, and subscribe to the channel. And all the listeners, this will be put out to hear me and G Talks is dulcet tones. Now, I originally had this stream planned for 3:15. And obviously, watching the game in the first half, there was a lot of stoppage time, so I had to move it back. And then there's a lot of football people within the group stage game. I think there's 3 games minimum, sort of the first week or so. But people, let me go to the chat before I introduce my fantastic. Big up, lads! Thank you, RJ. Happy birthday for yesterday, man. Welcome to the 30 club, bro. I hope you didn't do anything that I wouldn't have done personally, but we'll get into it. G, welcome to this match review for England's opening group game win. Thank you for coming on, because I know time-wise it's a bit tricky for you, but and myself a little bit. But thank you for coming on, man.
No problem at all, man. Yeah, I think you know what it is. Yeah, I think the World Cup, obviously, where it is, the timings are a little bit tricky for everybody. I've got the luxury of working from home during the week, so I'm able to watch the games, which is fantastic. At the same time, working from home, mum working as well. There are some days when I have to chip in and do my daddy duties, like during the school run. So I actually missed the last goal or the last couple of goals from England and the Iranians. But yeah, you know what? Always a pleasure to jump on your channel, bro. Absolutely buzzing. I mean, I've been buzzing for. I would definitely say it was probably the one World Cup in my lifetime where I haven't been as hyped.
Yeah,
but I mean, as soon as it got to like Friday, Saturday of last week, I watched the opening game yesterday. I thought Ecuador were brilliant. And yeah, I've been buzzing since this morning, getting a chance to see how obviously the England lads would do. So yeah, absolute pleasure to be on, and I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, thanks for bringing up the game yesterday. Obviously Ecuador versus Qatar, men against boys, man. Very, very much so. Ecuador, polished team. Qatar didn't really have any chances apart from the flash shot, probably in the second half. Big chance in the first half when 2-0 down, but yeah, Ecuador were every winners. Is that we've actually got an Ecuador contingent in Southeast London, so they was very happy when I went past the cafe shots, man. Trust me. So,
they bring energy, bro. They bring vibes. You know what I mean? They bring color. It's and that's what I love about the World Cup. Like, obviously, there's been a lot of controversy about it, a lot of negativity on the timeline and social media. But yeah, for me, it's just nothing unites the world on a global scale than the World Cup. So I think right now, it's the right time to just focus on football and let's just enjoy the tournament. You know.
Yeah, no, well said. Let's get straight into it. England starting lineup comes out. No massive surprises for me personally. You could even argue you could put Saka and Phil Foden in the team. I did a little video this morning, as you probably saw. Thanks for the retweet in terms of Saka, because the rumors come out yesterday that he would start. But England team-wise, any surprises for you, or it is what it is for you?
No, it is what it is. I've made it very clear, in the lead up to the tournament, particularly when the squad was picked, and I've made it very clear, what my 26-man squad would have looked like. I've made it very clear what my first 11 would look like. So I wasn't surprised by the selection Southgate made. I think it was pretty much predictable. What I was happy to see is that we didn't have a back five.
Yeah, 100%.
That was absolute. That thrilled me before even a ball had been kicked. So yeah, that was really, really positive. And yeah, I can't really argue with the selection. I mean, if it was me, obviously I would have put Ramsdale in goal. The centre back pairing always concerns me. It's not so much. It's not so much in an England shirt. It's more just to do with the form of the players, the absence, for their clubs and so forth. But I was a little bit concerned about the centre back pairing. But obviously, given the opposition, I didn't think it would matter too much today. When I looked at the lineup, the only thing for me was the absence of Foden. That was the only really thing for me.
Mm.
I've never been Mason Mount's biggest fan. I thought he did okay, but I think you can easily, I think with Bellingham and Rice in that midfield, I think you could easily do a like-for-like swap, Mason Mount for Foden, and still play Sterling, Saka, and Kane. I don't think England lose anything defensively with Rice and Bellingham being so strong in that midfield area. And I don't see why we can't have the talent of Foden on the pitch as well as the likes of Sterling, Kane, and Saka. Because for me, in my opinion, I think that front three of Sterling, Saka, and Kane, they're pretty much undroppable. I think you've kind of got, people talk about, the likes of Maguire and, Southgate trusting Maguire, which is why he picks him. You just have to look at Sterling's record. Sterling comes under a lot of criticism, a lot of unfair criticism, in my opinion. He is one of the first names on that team sheet.
Yeah.
So on a whole, I was happy with the lineup. And as you know, once the tournament kicks off, I put all my kind of Southgate opinions to the side and my selection opinions to the side. And I like to just sit back and enjoy the tournament. So yeah, not too concerned with the lineup. I pretty much predicted it and I was pretty much happy with it.
Yeah, like I said, with Southgate, he has his trusted lieutenants. So Pickford, Maguire, Sterling, and Mason Mount. So I wasn't surprised to see Mason Mount start. Like I said, there's an argument for playing Foden and Saka. With Mount, I take into consideration he doesn't normally. I don't recall too many England games where he's played him in that position. Just off of, so maybe that's a little bit better for a Mason Mount. Let me go to the chat quickly before I stop my flow. Ray's in there. Go on, Ray. Don't worry, man. We'll come to our star boys. He's in the backdrop in my thing, man. Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, like I said, with Saka, a good point about Sterling. I was glad to see him score. Actually, I didn't want to sort of go through the group stages and fluff chances, and because he gets into good areas, but sometimes I think he's end product in terms of picking the right decision at the key moments is, to me, still even questionable. Even though he's been brilliant for the last 2 and a bit years for England and his club form at City, not so much at Chelsea. He's been messed around in terms of where he plays and what Graham Potter's done with him. But yeah, the first half, bro. So it didn't really get started. Really, I mean, we're going to talk about it because I think it's still going to be a contentious issue throughout this tournament. Is VAR?
Yes.
Now, I've never seen somebody get body slammed in football. I mean, and the worst thing about it, I actually do think it was referred.
Yeah.
And he still didn't. I couldn't believe. I said, "What kind of referee is this? This is unbelievable."
Yeah. I think you know what it is. I think I've just become accustomed to VAR and the way it's been used. And I think we've all said it before. There's nothing wrong with VAR in terms of a system, in terms of a concept. It works perfectly because from our perspective, sitting on a couch or sitting in the pub or sitting in the stands, you watch the video replay, what the referees or the team of referees or team of officials that have access to, and it's clear to see a lot of the time, not all the time, sometimes there are grey areas, but a lot of the time it's very clear to see if a foul has taken place or if a foul hasn't taken place. And for some reason, we still get these decisions, and the worrying thing is that they're not just anomalies. It's not just like, 1 in 100 that they're getting wrong. Yeah. It's like every other one, or they're getting more wrong than they're actually getting right. But I've almost become desensitized to it to the point where now it doesn't shock me. It doesn't surprise me. It's very, and I think the players probably feel the same in many respects. When you can sometimes see when they score a goal, there's a bit of a hesitation in support in actually celebrating, and you can see by their reactions, like they're disappointed, but they're not necessarily outraged. And I think they too have just become accustomed to the fact that VAR is going to make mistakes and often does make mistakes. So yeah, it was an appalling decision. But like I said, I'm not shocked or surprised, bro, to be honest.
I said this before. I actually thought that, and I'm going by what I saw in terms of the refereeing in the men's Euros. I actually thought it was really, really good. I actually really thought it was really good until the final. I thought the referee was awful. But I mean, I'm laughing because it's not even funny because that was a terrible decision. I mean, I actually thought the refereeing of the officiating the VI would be better in the tournament.
Yeah.
Just because of how you know, a World Cup once every 4 years, it doesn't happen very often, and you want to get it right. When I saw a player getting body slammed to the ground, I couldn't believe it.
It's like watching judo or something in the Olympics. You know what I mean?
And then we saw at the end with, and I actually did think it was the penalty anyway, the last one for Iran. But yeah, sort of we could whittle through all the goals, but I'm not going to do that because. But I must admit, to give England credit, and yes, you can talk about the quality of opposition, but I've seen England go into World Cups in the opening games, and the performances have been terrible.
Yeah,
the results have been terrible.
Yeah,
I can think of South Africa. Okay, they got the draw against USA first game, but the second game was awful against Algeria.
Yeah.
The World Cup in 2006 in Germany, they won the opening game, but that was an awful game to watch. There's been loads of games I can think of England Open World Cup, but listen, once they got because they sat very deep, very, very deep, and the plan was very clear in the first 5-10 minutes where they was how Iran was gonna play and try and hit on the counter, but England get the first goal. They had to be patient. Saka had a bright start. Maguire hit the post for the header, but listen, let me tell you something. I'm gonna get this guy on the screen. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna bring him in. I'm gonna introduce him. Not who you think it is, but it will be who you think it is, but not who you think it is. But I've not seen him play much, loads and loads, because I don't watch Bundesliga as much, just because of time and not being able to do it. But you hear good things about Jude Bellingham. Listen, the Brummies are going to be very proud of this guy. 9 goals this season, actually. I think 4 and 5 in the Champions League. And there's been calls to get this guy in the team. Maybe the Euros last year was a little bit too early to get him in, but by God, I mean, the goal was brilliant. Brilliant header. But gee, what did you make of Jude Bellingham, man? Performance in total.
You know what it is like? He's just a class act. And you know, I think most, you know, Arsenal fans or even, you know, fans of the Premier League will probably admit that they don't watch the Bundesliga as much as they should.
Yeah.
And mainly to do with the competition, if I'm completely honest. I don't really like a lot of the other European leagues, because I just feel in comparison to the Premier League, there is a lack of competition for who actually will go on to potentially either win it or compete for the top positions. But Jude Bellingham is just an absolute class player, you know, for his age. I actually was very surprised. I was having a conversation with my son before the game. And we were just talking about, you know, England's, you know, core of young talent. And I was actually gobsmacked that he was 19. I thought he was a bit older.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's just insane. Like he's like a year and a half older than my son. And and he's representing England, you know, in the World Cup and scoring, you know, I think it was his first goal.
It was,
in the opening game of the 2022 World Cup. And I think he deserved that. I think he was absolutely, obviously, look, this is Iran, no disrespect, but at the same time, you can only play the opposition that's put in front of you, as we always say. And he just bossed the midfield. He bossed the game. You know, he was in charge, you know, of the tempo, you know, whether it's pinging a ball 30 yards, whether it's playing it simple. He seems to just make the right decisions at the right time. And when it comes to, you know, a midfield player, you just can't teach that. You know, he just has that calmness about him. He picks up the ball. He can pick up the ball in a pressured situation. He can do a one-touch pass. He can take a couple of touches. And then, like I say, ping it 20, 30 yards. He gets into space. He's not only, you know, he doesn't only just sit there and keep it simple. You know, he overlaps. You know, you see him all over the pitch.
Yeah.
And he's just a quality player. And I think England are just very fortunate to have him. And what really impresses me about him is that he does not, and I know this sounds kind of silly, but he doesn't play like a 19-year-old. He plays far beyond his years, in just the way his performances are just so mature. And that's what I like about him, you know. So my only concern was, like, I never thought when he kind of burst onto the scene and he was doing what he was doing in the Bundesliga and in Dortmund, I wondered whether or not he could actually transition or translate that on the international stage in the England shirt, because we know that it's different. There's a lot more pressure. You know, playing on the world stage is different to playing week in, week out, you know, Bundesliga football. But every single challenge, every single test he has, he seems to just fly through it, and he seems to just get better and better and better. So yeah, he was absolutely brilliant throughout the whole 90. I mean, the header he scored was superb.
Brilliant header, super header. Yeah,
It was a really nice worked goal. Brilliant cross from Luke Shaw. He has one hell of a delivery on him when he gets it right. But yeah, it wasn't an easy header. But it was a brilliant header. Gave the goalkeeper no chance. And I'm glad he got his goal. There's been a lot of talk about Jude Bellingham before this World Cup. And I thought getting the goal in the opening game against Iran was a perfect way to really stamp his authority on both the game but also the tournament.
Yeah, he was brilliant, man. Like, people talk about he can play. They make comparisons to Stevie Gerrard. He can play a 6 or an 8. He can do everything. I mean, even you saw in the second half, he played in a more kind of almost of a drawn role, and then obviously the likes of Grealish and Foden come on and they bomb forward and support the strikers, whether that was Wilson or whether it was Harry Kane. But great goal. And England, listen, Trippier gets forward on the right hand side, he does, but Luke Shaw on the other side was constantly going down the byline, getting crosses in, height crosses, cutback crosses. So yeah, England were once they got the first goal, bit more possession, opened them up quite a few times actually, and then our starlight Bukayo Saka gets the second goal. Great finish. Listen, I've said this. I did the video this morning. I thought it for quite a while anyway. I don't. It's not a debate why he should be in England starting 11. Like I said, I watched Matchday Sunday last season, and Darren Ambrose said it. He's a Tottenham fan, by the way, as well. He said, "Look, you're picking the England starting 11. He's in it."
Yep.
Said to you, I saw certain fans of not even United fans talking about, oh, now Sancho's come to England, he's come to United. You watch him displace Bukayo Saka out of the team. Hasn't happened.
Nope.
And he starts head of Foden as well. And listen, like I said, I love Phil Foden, but it's not a debate for me. It's not a debate. It's not an Arsenal bias. As I always say to people, the acid test is your own set of eyes don't lie to you.
Yep.
This guy is phenomenal. He plays the way he plays in the English shirt. He plays for Arsenal. It's fearless. So, I was buzzing to see him score. He started the game brightly. To even get a second goal as well.
Yeah,
he probably could have stayed on and got a hat trick the way he's playing. But
easy,
come in, man.
He was in. I think with England, I don't think we started the game exceptionally well. No. And then obviously, there was that incident with the goalkeeper. Side note, let's just hope that he is well, because he really didn't look good. So hopefully he gets the treatment he needs, and hopefully he can participate in the rest of the tournament. So yeah, that kind of derailed England somewhat in terms of their momentum. But even before that, I wouldn't say we were fast or quick out of the traps. I think we just kind of got hold of the ball and we're just playing our football. And I think it was very clear that we knew this was going to be a tough game initially, because Iran were going to come out and they were going to be determined to not concede early. So it was going to be a kind of waiting game. As soon as we got one, we would probably go on to get a couple more, which eventually did happen. But he was the bright spark in the early stages of that first half. Either before the goalkeeper incident and after. Every time, he was the person that was showing for the ball. He was looking to take on his man. He looked bright. He looked like he had the beating of the left back, like he does, with most left backs that he plays against. He's just so, he's just so silky. He's so tricky. You don't know which way he's going to go. He's constantly running. He's constantly making the defender think what he's going to do. And yeah, he's just exceptional. The first goal he scored, what a strike.
Good strike, great strike.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there is one thing about Saka, because for me, I agree with you. It's not even a debate. When people actually say to me now about Saka being in the England team or Saka being in the Arsenal team, I kind of just move on. I kind of don't even entertain the conversation anymore, because I don't see what more this kid's got to do for people to understand and see how good he is.
England Player of the Year.
Exactly. So for me, it's just, at this point, it's agenda driven. That's all it is. It's clickbait. It's agenda driven, and it's just to be an annoyance for everybody else that loves the kid. But Yeah, he's just fantastic. The one thing about Saka that I've always said, and when I did actually criticize him, probably about not so much, not this season, it might not even have been last season, it might have been a season before, between those two last seasons, was that, you know, he isn't always the best in front of goal. There are times when, when he's bearing down on goal, I'm never confident. So it's really good to see him get that goal, get those 2 goals. I mean, the first goal was just exceptional. You know, hit it on the half volley, whatever it is, absolutely rifles it into the roof of the net. Goalkeeper has no chance. And for me, again, it's nice because it's clear that Southgate, the selectors, the team know how vital Saka is.
Yeah.
Because he starts for his club, he starts for his country. As you said, voted England's Player of the Year. But it's nice that he can go on the pitch and just not so much convince people, because it doesn't matter if you still need convincing at this stage how good Saka
we can't help you.
Yeah, we can't help you. But it is nice for all the people out there who are questioning. Boom, there you go, 2 goals, shut up. You know, it is nice. It is nice to be able to say that, you know, and put that out there, you know, on the timeline, so people can just, you know, just get rid of their narratives. And the second goal, just oozes class.
That's what we see. That's what we see week in, week out. Arsenal, yeah,
just oozes class. You know, he picks up the ball. You know, he's not panicked. He's not rushed. He's calm. He takes his time. You know, shimmies past a couple of players and just picks his spot. You know, absolute oozes class, man. So yeah, Saka is just, he's gonna, you know, we already know he's off to a fly. He's got 2 goals. You know, don't be surprised if Saka's up there. You know, in terms of contention for the Golden Boot.
G, you said it there, but that's it, bro.
Yeah, don't be surprised.
Yeah, people, we are not going to keep you long because, like I said, there's a lot of football to watch. And maybe you want to watch the Eagle and Witty game before, but I'll ask you like one more question or a couple more questions if you can squeeze it in. Like I said, with England, I've seen some opening games in Euro tournaments and it's been awful to watch. But today was really, really good, and that was because of the youngsters. Yeah, your Bellinghams, your Sakas. And you know what? Defensively, I like the way Jude Bellingham said that. Look, he mentioned about the 2 goals. He won't be happy they conceded. Right? Yeah. And they'll look at that and scrutinize that. And the England defense has been spoken about. But offensively, G, listen, they've got the potential to cause some damage to some top teams, by the way.
Proper damage.
Like, Foden and Grealish, come on, looks just seamless. Rashford's got pace to burn. Decision making for me is the key thing with him. Because I think if he's in Wilson's position, I don't think he would have passed it.
Yeah.
It's a fair play to Callum Wilson. But England offensively have got some players that can absolutely destroy teams. Yep. And I mean good football in strong nations. What's your thought?
Listen, what team in the world would not want to be able to bring on Foden, Grealish, Rashford, and Callum Wilson?
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
Like, there are very few countries in this tournament that have that much offensive depth in their squad. Very, very few. Other than Brazil, because I'm not talking about individuals, I'm talking about a collective.
Yeah, well said.
As a cohort. As a collective or a cohort of players, there are very few nations in this tournament that have that much depth and that much quality. Other than Brazil, I don't think there's another side. Particularly where you have to take into consideration injuries as well with some of the other nations, like France, for example. They've lost the likes of Pogba, Benzema, etc. But yeah, it's phenomenal. And this is what we've wanted as England fans. And this is what my biggest criticism of Southgate has always been, is to listen, take off the shackles, you know, drop the handbrake, do you know what I mean? And just let the guys play football, because that is our strength. You know, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not having a go at the defense. I'm not. But that's the key thing. When you look at the team, the strength is in the offensive players, and it's in the ability of the offensive players. You can literally, like you say, you know, with the new kind of like 5 sub rule, you can literally like take off quality and just bring on quality, and the ability to do that, you know, in key times during a game or in a tournament. Not many teams have that luxury, you know, and we really need to make the most of that. I'm not saying, you know, we can afford to be poor defensively, because we can't. At the same time, we have to give our offensive players free roam to go out there and do their thing, because they do their thing for their clubs. So we need to let them do their thing for England. And if they're allowed to do that and play with that freedom, then they will be up there in terms of, you know, one of the top scoring nations, definitely at this World Cup.
Yeah, listen, you make some good points, man, and I think that's the key thing. I think and it is down to the players as well. It's not just Southgate. To be fair, players have got to take. Yeah, you know, I've seen too many games in England. They get ahead, and subconsciously they get in defensive mode. And but if you've got the attacking players, which they have, to go and cause teams damage and give them problems, they do. Listen, my dream, I've only ever seen in my lifetime England play Brazil in the World Cup once.
Yeah,
on a very selfish level.
Yeah,
I would like to see that happen again, but 100%. We know what England would have to do in order for that fiction to take place. But I'm dreaming that. I am dreaming. I really am dreaming. Listen, but as a spectacle, wow! Like you don't get to see it in your lifetime too many times. You understand? England playing in the World Cup, it doesn't happen very often. It doesn't. I think before 2002, you'd have to go back to 1970, possibly. I think. But G, before we wrap up, I probably know. Saka did get England. He did get player of the match. Actually, I did hear it on the Tannoy.
Okay, did he?
Yes, he did. So, people, we are not being biased. The people that saw it and he got married. Listen, it's hard because I like what I saw with Jude Bellingham. Obviously, Saka's the bias. But if you had to pick one, who would you go for?
You know what? If I'm completely honest, I probably would have gone with Jude Bellingham. In terms of across the 90, I missed the last Grealish goal. And some of the goals for Iran because I obviously he's picking up the little one from school. But yeah, from what I saw from the first minute a ball was kicked, he was just in complete charge of that midfield. Defensively, he cleans up. Offensively, he's comfortable on the ball. Like I said, you give him the ball in space, you're in trouble. You give him the ball when he's under pressure, he's calm and collective. But Jude Bellingham for me, I think it's very close. Obviously, Saka got the goals, which probably, you know, gave him the edge in terms of the man of the match. And I think it's a deserving man of the match, but maybe a little bit biased because of my playing days. I played in midfield. I'd give it to Jude Bellingham. I think he was absolutely phenomenal. And I think just obviously, you know, with the whole kind of, you know, getting your first goal, you know, at a World Cup, in the opening game against Iran, I think he just edges it for me. I think he had an exceptional game. But I think a lot of the England players played well across the 90 from what I saw. But they were the two standout performers. But for me, it would be Jude Bellingham to get the man of the match performance. But listen, Saka got it. I'm not complaining.
Amen. Exactly that. Yeah, I just good to see Jude Bellingham play. He's ready. You see, he's only 19, but he looks ready. And like I said, you can only play in front of you. But people in the chat, thank you for tuning in. Audio listeners, this will come out later. But people, if you don't know what to do by now, this is what you should do. There you have it, people. Like, share, and subscribe. G, thank you for coming on. Not short notice, but time-wise. Tell people where they can find you and to subscribe to your channel when you're in.
Yeah, man, no problem. Always a pleasure, Albert, man. Obviously, yeah, you can find me predominantly. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. The handle is G Talks Arsenal. I'm also part of the Armory TV, which is obviously, you know, an Arsenal-related YouTube channel. So if you want to see me and see the guys doing our thing on that channel, please head over to YouTube. It's called the Armory TV, and you'll be able to find all our kind of content that we do. But yeah, absolute pleasure as always, Albert. Really enjoyed, obviously, reviewing the first game for England. So thank you.
There you have it, people. Don't think about it. Go and subscribe, people. Follow G Talks and subscribe to the Armory TV. As your host, Albert JTV. Shout out to my dear Tottenham wife, Holly Agambar, who's at a work function, so she couldn't make today. But we will be back this Sunday coming for the review for the USA game. You will see me this Wednesday talking about Arsenal stuff. Won't release the details yet who's coming on, but the person's finalized, so it's cool. So I'm looking forward to that. We've got a game to catch. Senegal versus Netherlands. This should be a spicy game, even without Mane. But people, smash a like, subscribe to my channel, and follow G Talks and the Armory TV. This is Albert JTV over and out. Match review: England 6, Iran 2. The Three Lions are on the march. Over and out, people.